Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hytale News video. It's Redunes here, joining you today. And as the year is coming to an end, it is time to reflect on all the news we've received this far and speculate about the year ahead. But first, let's take a look at all that we have learned this year. Because a lot has happened this year and we understand it can be challenging to keep up. That's why we're making this video after all. If you enjoyed this one, let us know in the comments or by leaving a thumbs up. It really helps us deliver the best content for you. Before we start though, if you're a subscriber and you're 100% confident that you're up to date on all things Hytale related, you can skip to this timestamp to hear more about 2021 and our giveaway. But without further ado, let's go back in time. Our first image was at the very end of January where we received this picture that featured that amazing ice texture that reflected some of the light, showcasing Hytale's graphic development. And of course seeing the cute white owl again, as well as a very large crack formation in the ground hinting to what could possibly be a ravine or a cave entrance. The blog post accompanying that screenshot showcased another photo of how Hytale's graphics engine is handling ice, featuring some bioluminescent mushrooms that you can see distort under the ice. There's also the player there who's holding a pickaxe and some cool wintry clothing, and you can see how the blending texture of snow overlaying the ice. In the next image, you can see that the ice cube texture actually changes depending on the angle you look at it from. You can see the contrast here from the light blue opaque blocks on the ground to the vertical ones that we're seeing head on. This blog post was also the announcement of improvements to ambient sounds from the work of Kieran Fitzpatrick. Ambient sounds attempt to make the game more lifelike by setting the rules for audio properties that can be customized based on the weather, time of day, number of walls, trees, whether you're underwater, and more. This means for players and creators that you can add more realistic effects and make the game even more engaging, scary, cozy, or anything in between. Moreover, ambient sounds can interact with one another. One example of this was the sound of a storm causing the sounds of birds to go quiet and fly off into the distance. Moving further along, we discovered that the team has been working hard at farming, adding new crops and assets to convey their growth from seedlings to harvest. We actually can see that they start out as seeds but don't instantaneously turn into sprouts, which is a pretty nice attention to detail. In this video, we see eggplants, cabbage, potatoes, wheat, carrots, mushrooms, and a nice showcase of what time-lapsing videos could be achieved in-game. And finally, animals can poop, and players can use it for fertilizer. Whew! January was a jam-packed month. In February, we got a cute Valentine's themed postcard with 2 jackalopes on the cover and an assortment of flowers, ranging from sunflowers, poppies, daisies, what appears to be some berries, and even a little stack of carrots. Placing items down like that would allow for so much opportunity in decoration and game design. The February blog post also contained more detail about Foley effects. Basically how sound is made using day-to-day objects recorded and altered slightly in a sound studio. This blog post is a must-read for those who love to impress their friends with random trivia knowledge about the game during a playthrough, because hey, not everyone will know that bat sounds are made from balloons and spider sounds are made from vegetables. In March, we got some art showcases and another progress update, this time with more screenshots. This shot was really impressive not only for the armor and awesome house design, those sloping roofs are a builder's dream. But also it appears crops like wheat can be corrupted, unless it's tall grass. But purple bread sounds pretty neat. The tree foliage in the background is also something new that we haven't seen much of, and once again, a lot of these Hytale trees are so massive, we wonder how chopping them down will work. What do you guys think? We got some new Torque weapons, some spooky builds, and ruins. But the most important thing, without a doubt, is the flaming sword. If all enchantments look that good, my excitement level just increased by a lot. We also learned that NPCs got even more intelligent. Rats can sniff drop cheese, allowing players to approach them when they would ordinarily run. Or if appeasing Ratatouille isn't your thing, you can feed the fence stalkers, which would ordinarily try to kill you. But they love snacking on fish, more it seems. It will cut their view radius in half, but you're better off using a torch on these guys. The Hypixel team welcomed 2 new staff, and we are also learned that mobs can be best friends. A nice change from prey versus predator. Instead, we learned that fence stalkers love frogs. And then, who could forget meeting cacti? March really gave us a lot to think about. In April, we got the most adorable picturesque Easter postcard featuring Quebec's baby seedling Quebec, majestic as heck deer, another Quebec, a sparrow, loads of eggs, a goblin, 2 crows, a baby chicken, apple trees, and some nice hay bales. And we can see Quebec seedlings change a little from the first time we saw them. It's important to note that everything we've covered about Hytale and every blog post from them is still in progress. There are always disclaimers that things will most likely change and improve before launch as time goes on. And this is just one example. Personally, I think they're much cuter with rounded eyes. What do you guys think? It was in this month that Hypixel Studios also announced its partnership with Riot Games, one of the coolest, most successful game production companies out there that are responsible for a lot of games like League of Legends and Valorant. There's a link in the description below for the full FAQ if you want to know more, but essentially nothing major has changed. Hypixel Studios is a subsidiary. They brought in new developers and internal team structures to accelerate progress, but in essence, the creative direction and decision making is completely unchanged. Riot brings a wealth of experience in the Hypixel Studios team and also offers more hands-on training and insights, which can only be a good thing for Hytale when you think about it. They've reaffirmed that their goal is still to get Hytale shipped by 2021, and Hypixel Inc. remains separate, which is their Minecraft server parent company. Riot Games saw what Hypixel Studios was doing and had such belief in them that they decided to back them. No matter how you put that, that is exciting to hear because that means we're gonna get a killer game next year. Pretty big month, right? But there's still more. In their FAQ post, they dropped some epic images. A frightening minigame map that looks a lot like Skyblock if it was designed by the devil in hell or something like that. And then there's this awesome modern city map with a guy holding a gun dressed in some game-specific armor. And finally, an Earth Day postcard with a Quebec and its tiny tree door. Did I say finally? I'm just kidding. There's more. Following that, Simon and Noxy posted their own thoughts on Riot partnership with a bunch of new screenshots that we are going to flash up on the screen. And some of them are really intriguing. First, we see a player playing a banjo in some toeless boots or thongs with leg warmers. Very interesting cosmetic choice, by the way. A picture from Zone1 featuring a player and lots of Quebecs, beautiful trees, pumpkins, and a naturally formed tiny pool of water. A player with a stylish man bun holding a torch and a nasty looking club with nails sticking out of it. Another player fighting off some big underground creatures in a cave adorned with glowing things. The odds don't look good for him, but he has a nice axe, by the way. Then we're treated to another update of how the UI is looking. It also showcases an interesting camera angle that looks playable. This mysterious cloaked player is dual wielding a torch that dynamically lights the area, and a very mean cleaver or axe. He also got some gold and silver, some fish equipped with a hotkey, and another appearance of those mystery icons. Leave a comment below what you think they could be for. The next screenshot is 2 players roasting some sort of meat on a rotisserie. They're also surrounded by a lot of decor and furniture items. To be exact, I actually really enjoy the aesthetics of the barrel, the table, the pile of books with the candle, and so forth. And finally, a screenshot showcasing green hair, pigtails to be exact. But also, how the creative tools will look as you can see this round shadow and the player holds what looks to be a paintbrush. April was a lot to take in, so understandably there was a break in the following months, but they were right back at it in May with another blog post, 2 new staff positions, and a lot more screenshots. In this screenshot, it looks like a player is fixing a piece of cracked pottery next to a pigeon. And we can see small items on the crafting bench as well as a paper diagram, an interesting way that crafting could be displayed. In May's blog post, we got a refreshed look at cosmetics and in-game physics. Player customizability got overhauled with a gradient mapping, and now the possibilities are almost endless. If you want to look majestic, modern, straight out of RuneScape, like the life of the party, or straight out of your favorite anime, Hytale says yes. We also got a glimpse into this player's nicely decorated room that features some very nice windows, a nice couch with a matching chest and table, some pottery, an indoor plant, some curtains, a dresser, and even a strange decorative item in the corner. It's the little reveals you've really got to keep your eye out for, especially when they try to distract you with the rainbow hair. It was in this blog post that the most famous moment ever besides the trailer was also unveiled. Can you guess it? It's none other than the poop throwing video featuring Buddha Cat's handsome face. Possibly the best reveal all year. What do you think? Along comes June with an ocean screenshot for World's Ocean Day. We can see lots of little ocean critters in this shot, including lobster and a jellyfish. Sadly, no pufferfish were featured in this one. 6 more staff members were also hired in June, and the blog post was on landscape generation. This blog post was slightly more technical with insight into noise maps, height maps, and rules for prefab generation, but it did also showcase some nice screenshots and videos. Essentially, by tweaking, combining, and layering noise maps, you get all the different types of landscape generation needed to make Hytale feel immersive and believable. There's also the Voronoi noise maps, which determine where a Hytale prefab can and can't generate so that each prefab feels special. The team are still discovering new and fun ways that noise and height maps can interact to create unique landscapes. People that understand Minecraft unique seed generations would be familiar with these ideas already, but they're still cool to watch come to life nonetheless. Here's a screenshot with vegetation removed so you can more clearly see the land formations. Trees are generated as incidental prefabs and are distributed just like shrubs, mushrooms, crystals, and so on. Larger prefabs that spawn infrequently look more like this. And prefabs of course can be modded by the community to appear in servers and minigames. The Hytale team gave us an example of this here, but keep in mind this won't be in the traditional game. It's quite futuristic and almost alien. We got another progress update in July, this time with more sneak peeks of behind the scenes. This is where Hypixel Studios team had been working out of since July. The rest of the team are based globally, so they're still very much a remote operation, but the administrative or local team are based in Northern Ireland. July also gave us a ton of new images with caption asking us to theorize about the potential significance of these structures and prefabs. The first image is a gigantic tree in a gloomy swamp inhabited by what we can only assume to be Quebecs at this stage. There's some nice little details in the photo, the way that the branches and roots of the tree spread out, lily pads here and there, draping foliage reminiscent of weeping willows, and a really delicate layering of fog. The second photo almost looks like it could be from the same area and features a tiny little Quebec guard standing out in the rain in his helmet. I'm curious to know what he's expecting to fend off. Maybe a fence stalker or two? The difference in the color of the sky from the first swamp photo is intriguing actually. Perhaps this could be caused by some sort of heavy storm or weather causing all the rain. Shifting into the forest now, this image featuring a Gaia statue with some blue gems at her feet looks like a prefab that is actually integral to the story. This means that we're possibly uncovering the history of Orbis. Here we can see another angle of the same place. Notice that there is an interesting overhang in the land generation. This will make exploring Orbis so unique. The next image changes color palette up a bit. We found ourselves staring into the purple fog filled with haunting shapes of corrupted trees, small glowing orbs, and purple leaves. I do really like the moon in this shot. We do also see more corrupted trees and a Moshorn. I wonder what they like to eat. Hopefully it isn't us. In the next photo, we get another vantage point of the area with the thatched roof hut now in full view. Aren't you just so excited to play around with sloped roofs? I know I am. And our final scene from July is set in a white winter wonderland. Almost. Well actually it's more gray and miserable and dead. I mean the water screen, so that looks kinda nice, but there's not much else. The next shot though has a guy staring deep into my soul. All these photos have one thing in common: there's a lot of depth, layers, mountains, all on the horizon somewhere. Orbis is shaping up to be pretty nice, and despite being the year of the infamous hiatus, I think it's safe to say 2020 gave us quite a lot of Hytale content. Now the second last blog post of the year took place in August. That's right, there was actually one more blog post that dropped actually a few days ago. Anyway, let's get into it. They started off with 2 Moshorns, the latest mob that was kindly introduced to us in the previous month. We can see that the same seeds can cause variations in growth. This will make farming more random as not all crops will result in the same resources. Mushrooms will expand from an initial fairy circle when planted, and bushes spread in all directions, with varying foliage blocks. With some final pictures of scenery, Hypixel announced that they would no longer be posting the blog posts on the regular basis that we've come to love and expect month to month. But they did this for a very important reason. We were told that big reveals were on their way to us, and continued blog posts would produce spoilers, have little to update us with, and ultimately take time away from development, as each post is carefully curated with selective images and clips. The team left us far from deprived though, providing postcards from Orbis weekly ever since. All our previous videos covered these one by one. Then, after 4 months, we finally got that blog post we've eagerly been waiting for, and it was big. In our Hytale News Discord server, we held a giveaway for whoever could guess the theme of the next blog post. The suggestions were really good, with people tending to lean towards the magic system, multiplayer, or UI, customization, server hosting, and combat. Otherwise, you can stay here and chill out with us on YouTube by subscribing. And that tiny little dangly bell is there to let you know when we are posting our news as soon as they get released. So the moment has come. The final blog post of the year informed us a lot of recent updates, with 7 new images showcasing the scenery, including the beautiful water graphics that have received quite the facelift. They also revealed a new mob, penguins. They have quite fluffy yellow eyebrows and swim and dive like you would expect. You can watch our last video to see the full in-depth recap. They also showed us some physical projects they have been working on at the office, and unfortunately conveyed that the big reveals they had planned for us simply aren't ready. A lot of elements have been completely overhauled and taken back to the drawing board once Riot made more resources available for them to meet expectations and become a professional gaming studio. We also now know that there's no launch plan for Hytale, but when they do know, they will tell us in no uncertain terms. So for those of you that enjoy piecing together clues and puzzles, there won't be any cryptic hints for you to decode coming from the Hypixel office. Last but not least, they thanked each and every one of you guys for having the patience and interest to follow the development so closely. The last thing they want to do is prolong a fever pitch of hype for years and years, and so, understandably, the hype has reduced. The well hasn't dried up completely though. Hytale are advertising a bunch more jobs that you can find on their website, and they have apparently gotten really efficient and good at game design. We're excited to see what's planned for the future ahead. If you want to keep up to date with all the postcards from Orbis, follow us on Twitter and you'll see us reply to every one. You're also notified of them as soon as they're posted on our Discord, and you can analyze them with like-minded eagle-eyed friends. All in all, it's been a pretty big year for Hytale, and we're excited to see that it seems as though their spirits are high regarding the quality of their project. They've remained consistent with the fresh content, and we have no reason to think that the game will let us down, either thanks to their blood, sweat, and tears, throwing poop animation, and commitment to possibly the greatest game of the 2020s. Thank you all for watching, and let us know what you want to see from us next. We hope you enjoy your stay in the Hytale fanbase. We appreciate all the fans that have stayed interested despite the long-awaited release date, and we're right here with you anticipating. See you in the next video.